It was great. I had to spend some time together with these actors outside of set. Like with Annie, I took a walk with her in Central Park before we started filming, and she taught me about the poet Rumi, which I never knew about, and we had some real chemistry with her. And with Anthony, we did a salsa dance together, and he walked on set and he had so much authority and so much wisdom. He told James what to do, and I mean, I thought that was great. We had some real friendships. He's very wise, and I think he knows a lot about the industry, and that was great because I haven't really worked with a lot of actors that know so much, and it was really nice working with them. Yeah, like my other co-actors, I got to hang out with them outside of set, but especially with Jalen because we got to go to the Times Square, Empire State Building, the Oculus, and the thing that made our chemistry so good is we got to experience new experiences together. He told me some very basic things like how it was in the 1980s and that he lived in Queens and what his life was like. But besides that, he really made it clear that he wanted me to see he wanted to see what I could bring to the table and how I could portray the role, and then he would tweak it to his liking. I think I'm a dreamer and an artist like Paul. I like to just like Paul, I like to see what I can bring to the table with acting and see how I can portray roles. And Paul can relate to that because he's also a dreamer and he has his big ideas.
There's always pressure whenever you take on a part, and there's also incredible pressure whenever you work with a wonderfully talented director, because there's a very good chance that the worst thing in the movie will be you. So you got to make sure that you're doing your best work. And but in this case, I have to be honest, the fact that I was playing his mother didn't change the approach that I had to the role, but it did change the way I communicated with my director about the role, because I always wanted to be aware that a question that I might ask might hit more tenderly, that it wasn't a pathway that we were speaking intellectually about, that it was his lived experience and it was so essential to who he was as a person. So I just wanted to tread softly and carefully and thoughtfully.
You know, I actually didn't know how iconic they were until I started working with them. But it's an honor just being in the same project with them and being able to, just share this opportunity to work with them is just such an honor. And I got to learn so much while I was filming. 2 weeks before we started filming, we had school, so we spent that time trying to get to know each other, and we became friends, so we did a bunch of things together, like playing Minecraft and stuff, just exploring. And so by the time we started filming, we didn't have to fake a friendship because we'd already built one. So fortunately, I never experienced what Johnny experienced, and that is just a privilege itself. But of course, I wasn't as aware of how racism and discrimination was back in the 80s. So just being a part of this project really helped open my eyes, just to see how unfair it was. When we first started filming, I was scared because I thought I had to play Johnny a certain way. But then James, he relieved that anxiety that I had just by saying, no, you don't. And, we would play around with the scenes, and then after we would tweak it to his liking. So he's an amazing director.
I love working with James Gray. He's a pip. He doesn't even call action, and he expects you to get out there and tell the truth. So I hope I did for him. And he was wonderful to work with. It was wonderful. Yes, it was very personal. He was very proud of it. And it was fabulous to be with Anne Hathaway, with Tony Hopkins, and of course with the great Jeremy Strong and the leading two boys. They were marvelous. So I'm very lucky, and may we go from strength to strength. And we deserve that 7-minute standing ovation in Cannes. So bravo, James, bravo.
It was the easiest thing ever because he just trusted us and trusted me and made me feel free and easy, and it was a joy, really. Well, there were always things that were really crazy that happened, and he would just say, hey, this happened to me. This really happened. So it's invaluable to have that kind of frame of reference right there, And of course also, I think there was a point at which I asked if I could, sort of improvise a line. He was like, yeah, I don't care. I wrote it. Say whatever you want. And I did, he just gave you that freedom.
At some point, you have to ask yourself why it is you love the art form of cinema, why you love movies. And I wanted to get back to basics, and I wanted to strip away everything else that I had to deal with logistically and just be myself and show a part of myself that I'm not always that comfortable with. It's a huge challenge because you want to present the world as you think it is and was, not as you wish that it were. They're very different things. And I was very anxious not to show myself in any self-aggrandizing or heroic way, but to say, this is me, warts and all. That's a terrible challenge, and I must say, it's not at all cathartic. I feel like the story is ongoing, you know? Oh, I sure did. My brother was key to my developing the script, because I would call him up and say, Ed, do you remember what happened here and here? Oh, yeah, I do. My brother has an incredible memory. So, and he's older, so he remembered more, and he was invaluable. We talked to about 600 kids, which is not a small number. And I remember I had them on my computer screen because of COVID. You don't see them in person. And I would just watch all of them. There were so many talented kids. But in the end, there were only 2. And they were the kids who fit some kind of intangible quality in my memory, and who listened, and who, of course, were so bright and willing to take risks. For the elder statesmen, as I called them, you know, I just got to the first person I was so lucky, the first person I had, Anne Hathaway, yes. Tony Hopkins, yes. You know, that's luck. You know, 42 years ago sounds like a long time. It's the blink of an eye in history. And we're still dealing with the Civil War in so many ways. And it's a mistake to think that progress is ever forward without any steps backward, that better is inevitable. I think, you know, there's a great quote by a great writer, Thomas Hardy. If a way to the better there be, it lies in taking a full look at the worst. And I think it requires us looking back sometimes to look forward.
You know, it's like not a lot of people that worked on the movie were around in New York in the 80s, 70s. I moved to New York in 77, which is not why he asked me to do the movie. It's our third movie together, but I guess I had a little bit more experience. So I just sort of tapped into my experience, which was very different than his. But I was Manhattan, he was Queens. We have a lot in common. However, it was kind of interesting just to go and he gave me like 500 images, slides, and this to use as references. So I really sort of dove into his world for about, you know, a week or two, just researching. And you know, it's our third movie, but I feel like I got to know him better on this one than previous ones.